to work on some scapular patterns. You just keep your arm right here on the shelf, and I'm going to be here. We're going to do what's called clocks. If you can envision a clock on your shoulder. So 12 o'clock's up, 6 is down, there's 9 to the back, 3 toward me. Okay? So we're going to take your shoulder blade through full range of motion. So here's rhythmic initiation. I'm going to do this and tilt this up just a little bit more so your head's got a little more slack. No neural tension, is that better? All the way down? Okay. So there's 6 and 12. So if I teach that motion, here's your rhythmic initiation. Now let's just work with me. So pull down. There you go. And push up. And pull down. And push up. Good. All the way through. Push. All the way down. Pull, pull, pull. So if I take my hand off, you kind of know which direction I want you to go. If I keep both hands there, you may not know what to do. Okay? So once you know that pattern, I can take my hands off, give you some better resistance. Good. Okay, so that's 12 and 6. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have you come forward and protract, and then retract and bring your scapula all the way back to midline. Okay. And pull back. Good. And push forward. Pull back. So if I do this concentric, that's a slow reversal. What's more common here is to really focus on scapular retraction. Good, control it. Pull it back all the way, pull it back, good. And control it forward. Pull it back. And there's your agonist reversal for scapular stabilizers. Okay. So that's just up, down, side to side, 3 and 6. Now what we also can do is PNF diagonals for your scapula. So this is going to be posterior depression and anterior elevation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the diagonal here a little bit, so you can just hang on to my arm, keep yourself balanced. So you can bring your shoulder up, just right in front of your eardrum, okay, and then down and back, up. See, feel how you want to protract, okay? So trim straight up here, up, up, up. There you go, up, more up. Now down and back. Good. And now we'll go right into slow reversal. And down and back. Push it up. Good. So if I put my hand too far here, what I'll get is you'll push and you'll get too much protraction. So take the time to make sure the person learns the diagonal you want them to move in, and then get yourself in the diagonal. So if I really wanted to focus on the lower trap, so pull down, control it up, control it up, control it up, pull down, good. Control it up, pull down. And you can feel how I give you a little quick stretch at the end to get it initiated. Okay. So that's the posterior depression, anterior elevation diagonal. The other diagonal is posterior elevation up this way, anterior depression basically coming down towards your belly button. Okay. So let's just teach that pattern first. Do down here, and back up, down toward you, back up. Okay. Now if I want to do that as a slow reversal, I can resist through here as long as it doesn't bother your shoulder, so you can push down. Down, pull back up. Now if it hurts somebody's shoulder because they have superior pain to compress through the humerus, then I'm going to have to come in through here and kind of grab your coracoid and have you pull down toward me. There you go. And back up. Push down. And relax your arm there so you're not using your, unless I want to work your external rotators. Okay, push down. There you go. And pull up. Push down. So that'd be the PNF diagonals that you can do for scapula. And you can do all your different types of mobility techniques as needed. So you can do slow reversal, agonist reversal, alternating isometrics, etc. Okay. I'm going to teach you thrust and reverse thrust, but also a closed chain exercise for serratus. So if you're prone on elbows here, you can just hang on your scapula once. That's not what we want to see. So I want you to lift up, get your serratus engaged, get your scapula steady. So what's going to happen is you're going to take your arm and you're going to punch out and then pull it back. Okay? So this is thrust, reverse thrust, thrust, reverse thrust. And what has to happen over here is this shoulder's got to keep working for his serratus. Okay? So I could do this, teach you the technique manually. So if you're going to punch into me, punch, and then pull back. There you go. And punch, and pull back. So this is a slow reversal. You're doing concentric out, concentric back. Okay? Now if I get my TheraBand here, I can create an agonist reversal for you. So you can start out in your punch out here. I'll pull back, and then control it up, and I'll just give you some more resistance. And that whole time, I got to kind of keep an eye on what's going on with his other shoulder to make sure he's working his closed chain on the other side while he's working open chain on this side. Then again, this could go from anywhere. I can pull the TheraBand from behind you, and you can punch it that way as well. Or I can do it manually. Okay? So that's thrust and reverse thrust. Okay? You may relax. So pivot prone goes back to something you did in childhood. As a baby, you would be on your belly, and you can pivot on your belly. So that's how kids learn to get scapular stability. So it'd be like pushing off with your hands, and then you'd pivot around on your belly, hence the name, pivot prone. The shoulder action of the scapula is, like we make a Wisconsin W. Okay, so he's squeezing his lower traps down and back, and then come forward, back down. So squeeze down and back, let your scapula come down. Good. So this is a great stability exercise. Ben's doing a good job of keeping a cervical chin tuck, keeping his head alignment, not shearing at his neck the whole time. And I got a pillow underneath his pelvis just to help his back out a little bit so he's not arching his back when he's doing this activity. Now I can add some resistance to this. We'll do an agonist reversal. Squeeze up and pull back. Squeeze up. I'll just focus on one side. Squeeze right here. Good. That'd be an agonist reversal for his scapular retractors. Pivot prone. You're going to come up like this. You come down and bring your elbows in your back pocket. Okay, and reach up, keep them, and then squeeze them down and back. Reach up and squeeze down and back. Now you could imagine if I had a piece of TheraBand over a doorway, you could do scapular retraction. This would be an agonist reversal. So you get a concentric here and an eccentric on the way up. So for patients with shoulder pathology who can't reach overhead, this is a great way to get their arm into a functional position, but eccentrically controlling muscle contraction. So if I have to visualize a TheraBand overhead, so he's pulling down, put his elbows in his back pocket, and let it come up slowly with the TheraBand. Listen through here. Okay? So Ben, we're going to do a push-up on the wall here. So if he starts out and he kind of has sloppy posture, so if he's got an arched back and he's hanging on his scapula, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get your heels on the ground, bend your knees a little bit, drop your pelvis so that your core stays on. Now do a push-up. So it's a little bit more focused. The idea is I want the stable base that he's working off of so he can really isolate his shoulders, and then he's going to come out and get that serratus plus and back. Now we can play with all kinds of hand positions here. So if I wanted to challenge his anterior stabilizers, if you open up your hands wider for me, and then do a push-up from there, that's going to definitely challenge a person who maybe had a history of a dislocation. Take them closer to end range, and bring your hands in a little bit more. There you go. A little bit more push-up, but also still that anterior challenge. Then if I wanted to work your triceps more, I'd bring your hands into that diamond position, and then he can get a push-up here and get a little bit more tricep work. So let's pretend you had a right shoulder dislocation. I'm going to put left hand high, right hand low, and do a push-up from there. So that would be a stable position for that right shoulder if that had previously been dislocated. He's not in a position of apprehension like his left arm is. And what we're going to do is we're going to gradually work your hands toward the other position. So you're going to inch one up, the other one comes down a little bit. You just keep working to gradually and work up. Now I got a regular push-up. Okay, drop it. Yep. So you're gradually taking that injured shoulder into a more provocative position. Okay, and then a full bore would be way overhead, almost the position that very commonly can dislocate a person is a fallen outstretched arm. Okay, so just gradual provocation of your shoulder. Okay, come back now. So here's some isolated serratus work. So we can do just a serratus push into the wall, and then I want you to go up and down. You can go, so that's 12 and 6 o'clock, and then go 9 and 3. And make some circles in a clockwise, no, that's counterclockwise, there you go, and then clockwise direction, either or. Okay, now I want you to spell out the letters of the alphabet. So all of this is serratus, closed chain serratus, neuromuscular rehab, keeping his scapular stabilizers on. Okay. Now that's a mobility activity. So let's put you up there and hold once. Just then I can do an isometric, alternating isometric as well. Big long lever, I don't need much force. Rhythmic stabilization is more me pushing in multiple directions. Both hands. Now, can you do a little bit of a push-up on that? So you're limited by your own creativity when it comes to ball on the wall exercises. Now, let's give this a break. I'm going to work kind of overhead. So we get it here. I'm going to do like a jumping activity, keeping your arms in that stabilized position, core on, and just working on a little. So this would be something I would very commonly use with a volleyball player who had to like go up to a net or something. It teaches you to co-activate your spine. So when you go overhead, you're not losing your lumbar position. So we're going to do some plyometrics. So you're going to come into the wall, catch yourself, push off the wall, and I'm going to push you back in.
Same.
So you can bring your feet a little bit closer just so you know where we're at. So let's just kind of, you go up and catch yourself, push off. So as a therapist, this is a great exercise for you too, because you have to, I'm getting an eccentric loading here, and then I can gradually throw them harder and faster. So we've got to get more reaction, more stability. Then I can do the same thing, I can play with hand positions. So we could go high, low. Just don't hit your hand on the thermometer. So you can catch there, push off, okay, and then switch your hands, catch, switch, there you go. Okay, diamond. So I can do all kinds of things. I'll go wide on one. Okay, so he can play with that. Now you gotta make sure you're counting. So one, I don't walk away when he pushes off the wall, or I push when his hands aren't ready. I almost broke somebody's face doing that one time. He was Spanish speaking. I heard expletives in Spanish I've never heard before. Okay. All right, Ben, let's try some closed chain exercises. You're going to do a ball walkout. So you need a push-up position. I want your head in a nice position, nice chin tuck. Keep your stability. Walk yourself back. Nice closed chain activity. Now, we're going to do some push-ups. So come out part way, whatever you feel comfortable with. You're going to balance at the end. There you go. And then do some push-ups, and then can you do a push-up with a plus? Serratus, there we go. There's an agonist reversal for you. Concentric up, eccentric down. Nicely done. And walk it back. Out. Now we're going to do stability for your shoulders. So I just want you to hold that position, and now have you just kind of balance on one leg and take one leg out into hip abduction. Stabilize, bring it back, nice and slow and controlled. Make sure you're breathing, pal. No holding breath. That just becomes an isometric for his shoulder as well as a core exercise and very dynamic. He's got to work his musculature on one leg at a time. Okay, and walk it back. All right, Ben, we're going to give you a break from some closed chain stuff and do some open chain with your upper extremity. So, got yourself kind of wedged over the ball. Now you're going to have to be using your glutes and your back extensors the whole time. So let's just have you do like a PNF D2. V for victory. Yep. Thumbs up. Good. All the way up. Now feel how you're dropping off your angle. So make sure you have a V for victory with your arms all the way up overhead. Yep. Good. Now let's have you remember that thrust and reverse thrust position you were doing before. So punch. Yep. And pull it back. And if you do it like that, that would be reciprocal. One arm's going up, the other one's going down. That's a reciprocal thrust, reverse thrust. Jab. Okay, now do some pivot prone and just bring your scapula back, make that W. Okay, and then bring it down. Again, if I was a really good therapist, I'd have his shirt off so I could see what's moving all the time. But Ben's so nice and muscular, we can see his scapular muscles working while he does this. Diagonals. You can have one arm balancing. You can do eccentric.